All right, we're ready, Mr. Vice President. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Charles. Good to see you.
Local hospitals in the Milwaukee area saw critical COVID-19 testing supplies diverted to other parts of the country where there were some hot spots at a time when Wisconsin was seeing surges in cases as well. Why were supplies being diverted, and is there a shortage of testing supplies?
Right now, we've performed more than 70 million coronavirus tests across the country. And as I heard this week from the White House Coronavirus Task Force, we've also managed to collapse the turnaround time from the commercial labs to just a little more than 2 days. And the reality is, with the outbreak that we saw across the Sun Belt, the amount of testing that was required in that region of the country in particular had resulted in some additional delays from testing that's done at commercial labs. Remember, half of the testing that's done in this country is done in hospital laboratories and also with point-of-care 15-minute tests. But we're working every day to make sure that Wisconsin has the supplies, has the rapid turnaround. And I must tell you, I couldn't be more proud of the people of Wisconsin to see the positivity rate in this state just slightly above 5%, holding steady down. That's a real testament to the people of this state. It's a testament to healthcare workers each and every day. But we're gonna continue to work to make sure that the hospital system here has everything that you need. Even as we're seeing declining cases and positivity across the Sun Belt, we'll stay focused here in the heartland.
But was there a shortage of supplies and they had to be diverted?
I'm not aware of a shortage of supplies. I do know that one of the strategies that we employed from the very first day of the coronavirus pandemic is that we focused resources specifically where the need was the greatest. When it began in the Northwest, then moved to New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, New Orleans, and then frankly moved to the upper Midwest when things were much more difficult here in Wisconsin than they have been in recent weeks and months. But make no mistake about it, we've also reinvented testing in this country. When I was tapped to lead the White House Coronavirus Task Force, we had only done 8,000 coronavirus tests by the end of February. Now we've done more than 70 million. We do roughly 800,000 tests a day, and I can assure the people of Wisconsin we'll continue to make sure that as we open up this economy, as we open up our schools, we're going to provide the testing resources and the kind of new testing that you saw the FDA approve this last weekend with the saliva test, that new innovation, new testing, we're going to make it more and more available every day.
As you know, Senator Harris expected to address the nation tonight. It's her night to shine on the national stage for the Democratic National Convention. She's expected to talk about police reform and the need to change the status quo, especially when it comes to police use of force encounters with African Americans. Can you point to a specific policy or plan that the president would support to address these concerns, also in an environment, Mr. Vice President, where Milwaukee is seeing a big spike in homicides as well as non-fatal shootings?
Well, from very early on, in the wake of the tragic murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, President Trump made it clear that justice will be served in that case, and that we were working and are working with law enforcement to make more resources available to law enforcement agencies around the country to improve public safety. We're also working with African American leaders and families around the country and our minority communities to improve the quality of life. But we're not going to defund the police. And the reality is that communities around the country that are talking about cutting funding to law enforcement, with Joe Biden saying, when asked, that he would yes, absolutely cut funding to law enforcement. Senator Harris actually said that we should reimagine law enforcement in this country. I think the American people know that most of the men and women that put on the uniform of law enforcement in this country every day are the best people in this country. We don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement, improving public safety, and giving them tools for better tactics, better law enforcement, and supporting our African American community and our minority communities. But President Trump and I have made it clear we're going to back the blue. We're going to stand with law enforcement, and I know the President was very grateful to receive the endorsement of the Milwaukee Police Department. Not long ago, the New York City Police Department's Benevolent Association, and we're going to stand with law enforcement, stand with our minority families, but we're not going to defund the police, not now, not ever.
But there will be reform.
Well, the President in his executive order called for new resources to be provided to law enforcement agencies to improve training on the use of force, improve training on de-escalation. We support Senator Tim Scott's legislation that would do just that, but Democrats in Washington, D.C. have refused to take up Senator Scott's bill, have refused to provide additional support for law enforcement that would allow the improvement of public safety the President called for. But we're going to continue to take that case to the American people. But the President's made it clear. We're going to support law enforcement. We're going to support our African American families and all the families of our major cities. But let's be clear. Burning churches is not peaceful protest. Tearing down statues, seeing the kind of violence that we've seen against people and property in major cities here in Wisconsin and all across this country is totally unacceptable. And President Trump and I are absolutely committed to make sure that we support law enforcement with the resources to restore law and order to all of the streets of all of our cities in this country.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Vice President.
You bet. Thank you, Charles.